I lost $10,000 trying to time the market, and that mistake completely changed how I invest today. In this video, I'm not telling you what stock to buy. I'm breaking down how my thinking changed and why that mattered more than any ticker symbol ever could. Hey guys, welcome back. This is a quick video on my investing thesis. I've talked about my investing system in other videos, but I realized I never really explained what my strategy looks like after my retirement accounts are funded. Today, I want to walk you through how my strategy evolved over time, how my thinking changed as I became more financially literate, and how I stopped being a follower and became a student. Take notes on what resonates with your situation, and hopefully you can learn from a few mistakes that cost me real money. Mistake number 1, too many accounts. My first big mistake? My money was everywhere and going nowhere. I had my money split across multiple accounts, and at that time, I didn't understand how important simplicity is for compounding. Your money needs critical mass for compound interest to really do the heavy lifting. In fact, I had an old brokerage account opened by a former employer that I completely forgot about. I didn't find it because I was organized. I found it years later by accident when I stumbled across paperwork. That was a wake-up call. Mistake number 2, not paying myself first. Like most people, I started out with $0 invested. My plan was simple: pay the bills, live my life, and invest whatever was left. And here's the problem. There was usually nothing left. Some months I invested, some months I didn't, and some months I just forgot. And that's when I learned this lesson the hard way. Willpower fails. Systems don't. Automation changed everything for me. Mistake number 3, chasing stocks on headlines. Early on, I made another classic mistake. I listened to friends, I listened to family. Worst of all, I listened to financial news. What I didn't realize back then was this: by the time you hear about a stock, it's usually already expensive. And unless you plan on being an active investor, someone who understands how the company makes money, the leadership's vision, and the risks, you're not investing, you're guessing, you're gambling. That reality hit hard when I lost $10,000 trying to time an international derivative stock. That wasn't bad luck. That was just bad strategy. After that loss, I made a clear decision. My investing strategy would focus primarily on US-based companies. First, because the global economy is still heavily influenced by the US dollar. And second, because I'm honest with myself. I don't do enough research to confidently evaluate international companies. Around that same time, I tried investing in individual tech stocks like Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, because I work in the tech industry. But that created another problem. When tech had a bad day, my entire portfolio had a bad day. And on top of that, single shares were expensive. I needed a better way. I needed to diversify without needing more money. I needed costs low enough that fees weren't quietly eating my returns. And I needed a strategy I could stick with even when emotions kicked in. And that's when I discovered ETFs and index funds. Not exciting, not flashy, but incredibly effective. Funds like Spider, VOO, and eventually Fidelity funds like FNLIX, FZROX, FZIPX, and FZILX. What caught my attention was simple: diversification, low or zero expense ratios, and exposure to the US economy. Today, my investing thesis is boring. and I mean that as a compliment. I fund my brokerage account monthly. I invest in low-cost ETFs and index funds. I focus on the US economy, and I invest with a 10 to 15 year time horizon. No stock picking, no market timing, no hype. Now, let me show you what this looks like in real life. This is my current brokerage account. I opened it almost 3 years ago. But I'll be honest, I didn't automate things early on, and that slowed me down. This account is part of my wealth engine, separate from my retirement accounts. My plan is to grow it for at least the next 15 years. If you're a beginning investor, it's easy to panic over short-term losses. But experience teaches you to zoom out. One bad day doesn't ruin a portfolio, just like one bad test doesn't ruin your GPA. For example, my portfolio took a hit in January 16th, 2026, when the market underperformed. And in the grand scheme of things, that day doesn't matter. Right now, my portfolio is aggressively invested in domestic companies. And that aligns with my belief that even with challenges, the global economy is still largely backed by the US dollar. My portfolio currently sits at around 27K, probably because of losses I took earlier from that international derivative stock. That mistake hurt, but it clarified my strategy. My goal is to grow this account to over 200K in the next 15 years. And I'm confident I'll get there because now I have automation, because I plan to increase my investments as I pay down debt. As you're looking at this performance screen, here are the key takeaways. First, most of the heavy lifting right now is me, not compound interest. And that's normal at this stage. At around $20-something thousand, my contributions matter more than market returns. Compound interest needs time and scale before it feels powerful. Next, this return number you see here isn't a pure market return. It's money weighted, meaning it factors in when I added money. Your contributions simply haven't had time to work yet. Third, zoom out. One bad day, one bad week, or even one bad month doesn't ruin a long-term plan. Just like one failed test doesn't ruin your GPA. You could see a dip here when the market underperformed, but in the grand scheme of a 15-year plan, that day doesn't matter. And finally, this chart tells me my system is working. The balance is trending up, I'm consistently adding money, and over time, the burden shifts from me doing the work to compounding doing the work for me. And that's a phase I'm building toward. To quote Munger, the first 1,000K is going to be a bitch. Student loans. I was aggressive with my student loans because the interest rates were high. And that was intentional. When I finished my master's degree, I owed over $80,000 in student loans. 3 years later, that balance was down to just over $10,000. Not because I was lucky, but because I made a decision. I attacked high interest debt so I could eventually redirect that cash flow into investing. And that's the real point of this video. You have to be intentional about how you put your money to work. Create your own investing strategy. Build a system and automate it so growth no longer depends on willpower. Your system doesn't need to be perfect. You can tweak it as you evolve. You can adjust it as your income changes. Just remember this. Progress beats perfection every single fucking time. If this video helped you think differently about your investing strategy, hit the like button. Subscribe for more content like this. And let me know in the comments what resonated with you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.